What's up, my honkies? So hit like, hit subscribe. We just crossed over 3,000 subscribers, so channel's growing, so that's good. Got another video processing that arrived today. It is for the quite delicious and scrumptious Medford knife and tool, Praetorian. It's a legit one from Greg with the certificate of authenticity. So that video is processing right now. But another one, my wife wanted an electronic teapot, so I was on Amazon, and for some reason this one popped up. I'm like, oh, this is a cool looking knife. So while I bought her the teapot, I was like, oh, let me just grab one of these. Look kind of cool. So what it is, by a brand, never heard of. I don't know. A lot of the Chinese ones I've been getting off Amazon have actually been surprisingly good knives. I don't know if this one was $29 or $39. I'll throw a link in the, whatchamacallit, if I remember, in the description. It's a company called Harndt. Never heard of it before. Looked at a couple of their blades. It looked interesting. I think it's G2 or maybe it's Sandvik steel. We'll look at it. But it is called the Assassin. So let's see what it's all about. So comes with a bag. We got this, some kind of piece of paper. How to use the knife, don't cut yourself, warranty, maintenance. Okay, got it. Little plastic baggie. And what do we have? We have a G10, really nice. Not super grippy, kind of not slick either, but it's a relatively smooth G10. It's a pocket clip that I think you can loosen that screw and then switch it over to pull that pin out and switch it to the other side. So you can use it either way. I'll say what I like so far, I like the blue. It's got some nice contouring. I kind of like that. That's some nice machining, nice touch. Blade centering, pretty darn good. Pretty darn good, not bad at all. What I like is that you have your pivot. There's no other screws. Like, this is a really nice, I guess that's what holds it and sandwiches it all together. So I don't know if there's anything else underneath. I can see that there is some skeletonization. I don't know if the light is going to pick that up, maybe on this side. But there is some lightning going on where they've machined out some shapes out of the steel. Keep the weight down. Let's see. It is a flipper with a titanium nitride sort of type coating. The blade, I think, is like 3.8 inches long. We'll find out. I was going to look up the specs, but I guess we could do it the old-fashioned way and measure it. So we are looking at a blade that is just about 4 inches. The cutting edge is 3.78. So it's a long knife. Overall, I got almost 9 inches. You hear that, Donna? I'm packing almost 9 inches. My wife's like, yeah, right, if you measure from the back of your butt. Anyway, so what we've got here is a really long, slender type of blade. Fits in the hand nice. Doesn't fill your grip up very much, but you can certainly get a whole hand on it. The action is really good. It does, ooh, almost closing my finger because I wasn't expecting it. I guess this is ball bearings. Yeah, very, very sweet action. Any blade play? Nothing. No rocking front to back at all. Let's look at our blade lockup. Pretty damn good. It's about 4/5. Nice solid lockup. Springs tight enough, not too tight. Action very smooth. We got some jimping there. It's not crazy good jimping, but it gives you a little bit of traction. Your hand certainly slides more up here than it does here. You got that little bit of that flipper turns into a little bit of a finger guard, and it's scalloped out to give you a little bit of purchase on there. Pocket clip, unobtrusive. Everything's rounded. There's no curly Q or anything pointing up, so no hot spot. You feel the bar there, but it's not one point. You feel it all across your hand, so very good job there. And I'm going to say this is not reversible. I'm going to take that back. You see it does have the little mushroom there in the screw, so it's not a flush mount screw. Not a huge deal. Tension, yeah, good tension. That one screw is what holds that together. However, you can't, I don't think you can reverse it because that piece, that base there is rectangular, And it is recessed so that it doesn't want to wiggle. Otherwise, if you just had one screw, it could swivel, right? So it locks into the G10. On this side, it is round. So there is no way to do that. So, okay. So I'll take that back. It is not reversible. But you've got steel liners. Again, I think you can air that angle. You can see all the lightning going on in there where they milled that all out. So very, very good. Trying to get the damn thing to focus. It always wants to focus on the wrong thing. Apple, you suck. It's all right. This phone's getting replaced soon. We're going back to Pixels and Google. Much better video and pictures. It's just better phones too. But anyway, so size-wise, do I have anything else here to compare it to? No, just what I happen to have in my pocket. So this is the, I think this is the Trekker, and I think it's the Adventurer that is the two layers. So this is the 3 layers. So that's a locking Swiss Army knife. And honestly, this is the knife I carry the most often in my pocket. Although at the moment, my pocket is rocking that bad boy, and that is the legit $450 Medford Praetorian Scout. So I guess we can go ahead and stack it up against that. It's actually longer. Well, no, it's about the same length. Put them end to end here. We're rocking to the tip of the glass breaker, 9 inches. Yeah, almost the same. Of course, this is much heavier and taller. But that's the size comparison. So full-size Swiss Army knife, which is, you know, about the big size of EDC for most people. I like it because I've got tools and, you know, as well as having a locking blade that I can easily sharpen. So I get that safety. But you can see the difference here. And I think, you know, when you look at it, some knives are more like tools. This is a tool, you know. Yeah, you can, and I guess all knives can be used as anything, right? You can use anything as a tool or as a weapon. But certain blades are certainly designed to be, you know, help facilitate more of one than the other. Obviously, this could be certainly used as a weapon. I mean, you got a almost a 3 3/4 inch blade there, a 3.5 inch blade, and it's certainly stabby enough since I've profiled that tip on the belt sander. That's actually pretty pointy. But you know, this is obviously meant to be a tool. This is a super heavy duty tool. It's not going to be even though it's wicked sharp, it's not going to be like a good slicer for food prep. I mean, could you cut some meat and prep food with it if you're camping? Of course, it's a knife. But having like the long, slender, thin blade is going to be much better for slicing vegetables, meat, stuff like that. So this, I guess I'm going to have to classify, and maybe that's why they call it the Assassin. This is going to be more along the lines of, you know, if you had to use a blade as a weapon. Would it slice food and open boxes and everything else? Yeah. But when you look at the rapid deployment, the fact that it's very long, wicked sharp and stabby, you know, this is made for slashing or poking holes in things, deep holes in things. Long, slender blade that should go effortlessly into semi-hard objects. We'll leave it at that. Am I going to use it for that? No. Nobody wants to get in a knife fight, and I sure as shit don't. Seems pretty sharp. Out of the box, not bad. Push test, will it do the push test? No, not sharp enough to do the push test. The Praetorian, well, it did earlier. Meh, now the Praetorian's not. Maybe my slice of paper's too wrinkled. This guy, oh yeah, this thing is, I sat there for like 10 minutes on a strop. This thing is just insanely sharp. Of course, that quality steel and the lower Rockwell hardening, it probably won't hold it as long. Let's go back and do the push test. Yeah, that one does the push test. Will this one do it? Nope. So it's not quite sharp enough, doesn't have quite that blade geometry to do the push test, but it's certainly slicey. Not bad at all. But man, that is a really good blade shape for poking things that need poking. Again, I don't know what YouTube to come after me for, hey, you're talking about using something as a weapon or doing harm. No, I'm not. I'm just saying different knives have different things that their design will lend themselves more aptly to. I still got to break this damn thing in because it's like, doesn't want to move. I guess you just open it like that and they're not worried about you flicking it. But that is the Harndt Assassin. The blade steel is Sandvik 14 C28N. So, you know, your typical, you know, decent lower end pocket steel for pocket knives. It is a ball bearing pivot, so the blade action, once you get past the detent is right there. But as soon as you get it past that detent, I mean, you don't even have to flick it hard. Just whoop, goes right down on its own. So very, very smooth, sweet action. Very nice. They have them in different colors. There's a silver, I think there's black with a silver blade, uncoated. Then I think there's an all black one, or maybe it's green, OD green with a satin finish. And then there's an all black one. I just like that blue. It's not like a baby blue. It looks good with the titanium, so it's got that little bit of contrast, but it's not a high contrast. It's a nice, slick finish. Feels good. I don't know how it's going to hold up over time. We'll have to wait and see. But that is the Harndt Assassin. So definitely a nice, stabby little knife. Very cool. And the price is right. I just like everything. I mean, you look at it. This is machined nice. The backspacer, these edges aren't proud. They actually are rounded and beveled nice. There's no sharp edges. A lot of times those edges are sharp and they won't cut you, but, you know, they're definitely sharp. These are all rounded. The teeth on the flipper are rounded. That corner there is all nicely rounded. Everything here is all pretty well rounded. So I'm looking at that machining. I think it looks pretty cool. It uses standard Torx bits. I'll go over it, make sure everything's nice and tight and has Loctite on it. But, I mean, so far, that's a wicked little blade. It's not even little. I mean, it's a 9-inch long knife. But honestly, you know, you pull that out and someone's like, oh my God, what are you doing? Here, it's like, yeah, it's a little long, but it's very thin. It reminds me almost like Columbia River has that executive gentleman's knife, but it's like really smaller and really thin, but it's that same kind of just long and thin. This just seems like they just kind of took it and turned it up to 11, but I like it. I'm going to check out some other knives from them. I mean, for the price, for 39 bucks, it's a solid little knife. I mean, you're getting, I don't know if they're steel. I'll have to look in the specs if it's ceramic ball bearings or what, but that you can't argue with that kind of action. I mean, out of the box versus out of the box, because it doesn't, you know, you got to really, I don't know. I think this is just going to have to wear itself in. I'll put some oil down in there, although it seemed to have oil before, but I think that's just how these are. I think Greg is not worried about the flicky factor. You grab it, you're just going to crank it open and get down to cutting through a car door or whatever it is you're going to do with something like this, because you pretty much can. It's ridiculous in a cool way. So there you go. The Harndt Assassin. I don't know how often it'll make it in my EDC, but it is kind of discreet. If you wanted to be able to carry, so here's where I see the use of this knife. You're in an area or state where you can't carry, take that off my hip. That's one of my carry guns. In the hot summer months, I carry the Ruger LCP Max, 12+1 of 380 hollow points and with another 12 round mag in my pocket. So you got, 25 rounds in a very, very small discrete package. Well, sometimes you travel somewhere or you're in a certain establishment where, firearms are prohibited. So something like this is better than nothing. I don't want to ever get into a knife fight because unless you really know what you're doing, you're probably going to lose. But if it's nothing or, using my bare hands, well, I'll take something like this. And I think something like this that's very, very sharp, very stabby, very good slashy. Thin, though, doesn't take up a lot of room in your pocket. If you had to go incognito, but you wanted something that if it had to be deployed for self-defensive purposes, more so than the two-handed, I mean, you could use this, but, it's a little more slick. The blade isn't, as good for that intended task. Plus, you need two hands to open it and close it. So if you've got your hand pinned next to you or, you're trying to hold someone away and you got a pocket clip, whereas this doesn't, you slide that out of your pocket and you're in action, right? So for those types of things, if you ever thought you might have to fall back as a last resort to a blade as a means of self-defense, something like that, I think is kind of good. So that's why I got it. I thought it was an interesting design, and I can carry that in places where maybe I would have to leave this locked in the glove box or leave it at home. So anyway, check them out. It's an interesting brand. There's so many cool brands selling these things. And I know, they're out of China, whatever. Your Kershaws are made in China. Half your Columbia Rivers are made in China. A lot of the Gerbers are made in China. A lot of the brands that you buy, whatever device you're watching this video on was probably made in part or in whole in China. So no use crying about it at this point. China's making everything. Knives aren't some sacred thing that are off limits. I enjoy the cheap Chinese blades. I also enjoy the $450 Medford Praetorian. I also enjoy the $350 Microtex and Heretics and Axial Gear and everything else I got. I got a ton of American-made, good quality knives, but I'm a sucker for a value, you know? Something like this, you use it, and if you break it, you don't feel like crap. You know, I have a buddy who bought one of my Guardian Tactical Recons with me, and then he went to the airport, flying out, and it was in his pocket, and he forgot about it. What did he have to do? He had to throw it in the trash. Granted, afterwards, I told him, why don't you just go over to the UPS box and mail it back to your house or to your sister or something? And he was like, dope. But at the time, you're like, well, I got to ditch it. You know, I've done that before. I had a pocket knife, and I had to go to get my passport renewed last minute for a birthday present trip from my wife to go to Aruba for a week. And I had a knife in my pocket, and I was like, shit. So I had to just chuck it in a garbage can. Well, I'm not doing that with this. You got a $20, $30 knife from China that's a good everyday cutter, you know, whatever. If you lose it or break it, you're not crying, you know. I would be crying if I lost this. So anyway, there it is. The Harndt Assassin. And stay tuned for this video. As soon as it's done crunching and doing its thing, I'll release that video as well. This thing is a mother effing beast in a good way. There you have it. That's all I got for today, folks. Tomorrow we're going to have some good riding video, hopefully tomorrow night or Sunday. We're going up to Deals Gap. We're going to do the Dragon, the Charahola, Hellbender, some bunch of really cool roads. I'm going to take my Insta360 up there. So if you're here for knives and you like motorcycle stuff, we should hopefully have some good old footage. It'll probably be Sunday by the time I get it up and upload it and cut and all that stuff. But stay tuned for all of that.